The average Australian with super has about $172,800. The typical one, about $60,000. That gap is the difference between feeling behind and actually knowing where you stand. This is the first trap with super. When you hear average super balance, it sounds like a normal benchmark. But averages can be pulled up by people with very large balances. The median is different. The median is the middle Australian. Half have more, half have less. So if you're comparing your balance to the average only, you might be using the harshest number in the room. The better question is not, am I behind? It's, behind compared to what? The average, the median, or the retirement I actually want? Let's start with younger Australians. From 18 to 24, the average super balance was about $8,600. The median was about $5,200. So if you're in your early 20s and your super looks tiny, that's not unusual. Most people simply haven't had enough working years yet. From 25 to 29, the average jumps to about $25,900. The median is about $19,200. Now you're starting to see the effect of more consistent work. Then, from 30 to 34, the average is about $51,200. The median is about $38,500. So if you're 32 and your balance is around 40 grand, the average might make you feel behind. But the median tells a calmer story. You may be much closer to the middle than you thought. This is where the numbers start climbing faster. From 35 to 39, the average was about $86,200. The median was about $65,500. From 40 to 44, the average was about $125,300. The median was about $93,400. And from 45 to 49, the average was about $170,800. The median was about $121,900. That might sound like just a list of numbers, but there's a story underneath it. By your 40s, super is no longer just that thing your employer pays into. It starts becoming a scoreboard. Not a perfect scoreboard, but a scoreboard that begins to show the effect of income, time, career breaks, investment returns, and whether your super has been quietly compounding in the background. Now we get to the age groups where the numbers feel more serious. From 50 to 54, the average balance was about $222,500. The median was about $147,900. From 55 to 59, the average was about $281,900. The median is about $169,100. And from 60 to 64, the average was about $355,500. But the median was only about $189,600. That is a massive gap. And this is why averages can be emotionally dangerous. A 61-year-old with $200,000 in super might hear the average and think, I'm miles behind. But compared to the median, they're actually slightly above the middle. Still, and this is the key point, middle does not automatically mean comfortable. That's where the next number matters. Here's the number most people miss. According to the ASFA Retirement Standard, a comfortable retirement at age 67 is estimated to need about $630,000 for a single person. For a couple, about $730,000. That assumes a partial age pension, and it generally assumes you own your home, unless noted. So when the median balance for 60 to 64 is around $190,000, that may be normal. But normal and comfortable are not the same thing. That doesn't mean panic. It means don't confuse a population average with your personal retirement target. One tells you where the crowd is, the other asks what kind of life you're trying to fund. Now, if your balance is lower than these numbers, that does not automatically mean you failed. And this part matters. Super is shaped by income, part-time work, casual work, career breaks, illness, divorce, self-employment, migration, unpaid caring, and whether your employer paid correctly. Not exactly a short list. There's also a gender gap. For Australians aged 60 to 64, the median super balance was about $219,800 for males. For females, about $163,200. That's a difference of more than $56,000 at an age where retirement is getting very close. And that gap doesn't happen because one group magically cares more about retirement. It often reflects years of different pay, different work patterns, and time out of the workforce. Sometimes your super number is not just a money story, it's a life story. Another reason these numbers surprise people is that Australia's compulsory super system is strong, but it's still relatively young. The super guarantee has not always been at today's level. From 1st July 2025, the super guarantee rate is 12%. But many older Australians spent a large part of their working lives under lower contribution rates. So when you see someone close to retirement with less super than you expected, it's not always because they made poor choices. The system itself gave earlier generations less time, lower rates, and fewer years of full benefit. Younger workers may have a different path because they can spend more of their career receiving the 12% rate. Of course, returns are not guaranteed, and markets don't move in a straight line. But time plus contributions is still a powerful combination. The safest way to read your super balance is in 3 layers. Layer 1. Where are you compared to people your age? That gives you context. Layer 2. Are you comparing yourself to the average or the median? That protects you from panicking over a skewed number. Layer 3. What retirement are you actually aiming for? That's the part no national average can answer. Someone with a paid-off home, low expenses, and part-age pension may need a very different number from someone renting in retirement or wanting regular travel. Same age, same super balance, completely different pressure. So the data can show you the landscape, but your own situation decides what the number means. So, are you behind? Maybe, maybe not. If you compare yourself only to the average, you might feel worse than you should. If you compare yourself to the median, you may be closer to normal than you thought. But if you compare yourself to the retirement you actually want, the question becomes much more useful. Not, do I beat the average? But, is my current path likely to support the life I want later? That's not a question one national average can answer, and it's not something a YouTube video can personalize for you. For your own situation, especially if retirement is getting close, that's a conversation for a licensed advisor. But as a starting point, this is what the data shows. Average is where the crowd is. Your retirement is where you're going.